All right. So for this next lesson, we're going to take it with a grain of salt because there's some debate on whether it really happened or not. But I find it's a fun lesson to teach. We are going over the quilt codes of the Underground Railroad. Now I say a grain of salt because some historians say that it didn't happen and some do. In the meantime, I would think it would be really interesting because there was a code system. Probably went to the graves of those who were the conductors on the Underground Railroad. Now, since we're in the Black History Month of February, we are going to talk about the Underground Railroad. Now, when I say Underground Railroad, it's not a real railroad, okay? It was only called that because the people who helped freed slaves get to the border of the United States, either north or all the way up to Canada, they call themselves conductors. And places they would stop along this railroad, okay, going to put that in quotation marks, were called stations and depots, okay? So there was no real tracks, there was no real train, okay? It was just called that as code for what they were doing, okay? And it wasn't underground. The term underground simply means it was secret, okay? Only people who knew where it was to try and keep away from people who would chase after the slaves and bring them back to their masters, okay? So, without further ado, we are going into the quilt code system of the Underground Railroad. So you do need a real ruler for this, obviously, or a really good square or something. I'm going to do it 4 by 4 to do quilt squares, and yes, you'll need multiple pieces of paper. So 4 by 4, or something that's square that you can trace. Each of these different squares had a meaning. And according to where they needed to go, they would tell the people what they needed to do if they got lost or separated from their conductor. And we may think they're pretty nowadays, but back then, be it life or death or going back into slavery if you got it wrong. All right, so let's start with these two. First one I'm going to do is called North Star. So I'm going to separate this into thirds. Okay, if you're one of my younger kiddos, yes, you'll eventually have to know thirds. So thirds vertically, and then thirds horizontally. Okay? So this first pattern was called Northern Star. So this is going to be colored. We're going to have a diagonal line there, a diagonal line there, a diagonal line there, and a diagonal line there. Okay, so we kind of block off the corners here, okay? So Northern Star was for telling people to go north because the slaves were running away from slavery down in the South. So what they needed to do was they needed to follow the North Star if they ever got lost. The Underground Railroad really only operated mostly at night, okay, to keep out of sight of anyone who was trying to find runaway slaves. Okay. And we are going to bring this down and down, make it into the M, and then into an M again. So North Star, okay? Go north. That's what it meant. Go north. Just telling people to press on, go north. Let's see here. All right, the next one was when they needed people to stop, okay? I'm going to draw a line down and stop, almost at the bottom. I'm going to draw a line over. I'm going to stop before I hit the edge. I'm going to draw a line up. I'm going to stop before I hit the edge. I'm going to draw a line over, meet, so now I have a border, okay? I'm going to draw a line down. I'm going to stop, okay? I'm going to draw a line over, stop. Now I'm going to draw up, stop. And I'm going to draw across, so now I have kind of a square shape in the center. So this is a very common quilting pattern. It's called log cabin. So they saw a quilt outside that had a log cabin. It was hanging on the porch railing of the house or out a window. Like they just washed the quilt and it was drying. This told people, okay, safe. It is safe here. This is a safe space. These people are friendly to runaway slaves and they will help you. Okay, so log cabin, safe space. Okay. All right, once you got those, let's move on to our next one. Next page. See, I told you you may need multiple pages. I want to draw them big enough. My square is big enough so you can see them easily. If you want to do yours a little smaller, that's fine. You can save a little bit of space if you do them smaller. But I got to draw them big so you can see them easy. So go ahead, draw out the next ones. Let's go ahead. You do have two. All right. So for the next one, next one we're going to do is called crossroads. So I'm not going to start at the corner. I'm going to start up a little bit above the corner, okay? So I'm not going to start here. I'm going to start out a bit more right there. And I'm going to draw not to the other corner, but kind of opposite where it is. So I'm leaving a space here and here. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. I'm going to stop, okay? I'm going to draw, so it's a rectangle going through my block. Then I'm going to do the same over here. So not from the corner, from a little bit away. And I'm going to connect those to make two intersecting rectangles, okay? So now I got 4 squares and a big square in the middle, or diamond, okay? Crossroads. Or, yeah, crossroads. So 2 roads crossing each other. All right, this is marking where a station or a depot was on the Underground Railroad. So if they found a cabin with this hanging out the window, they knew, oh, we're supposed to stop here for the next conductor to take us to the next station. So it was a way to tell people to stop. Okay, don't go any further. Next one's pretty easy. So since we're running a lot through the countryside, we're going down rivers, we're going down boats, we're just trying to make it to the next stop, okay? This is very hard work to do all that. We had to have a way to tell people that they were going to get new clothes for their travels. So this next one, we're going to draw cross lines through it, and then we're going to do an X here, an X here, an X here, and an X here. Okay, so now we've separated our block into 4 identical quadrants or quarters. And that says a good name to it, bow tie. This meant that there was a friendly white person who lived at this place, and they would give you new clothing. Okay, so you wouldn't look so tattered. Okay, so they would refresh your clothing if you stopped at this place that had bow tie signaling there. So crossroads, a station, also meant stop, right? And bow tie meant new clothing. Just in case, because people are running through the grass, they're running through thickets and thorns, they're getting all torn up. They'd fall down, they would have to sleep on the ground. It was tough. It was tough to try and do the Underground Railroad. And if you got caught, either you were sent back or you were killed. There's a lot hanging for the people who are on the Underground Railroad to try and make it to freedom. All right, camera. All right, we got 2 more. You know what? I'm just gonna eyeball this. There we go. All right, this next one we're also going to separate into thirds. 1, 2. So thirds, 3 parts. And separate in thirds horizontally as well. Horizontally. Now again, like with North Star, we're going to do this, 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 and this. But this time, around this central square right here, we're going to split these into 2. Monkey wrench is what it's called. Or what the pattern became known as later, okay. This meant to gather your stuff. Get ready to go. Gather your stuff. Especially tools. An extra pair of shoes if you could find something. Needle and thread to repair clothing as you went. Your bag of food and the provisions that you need to take with you. Okay, get your stuff ready. Okay, so we had the Northern Star, and now we have another one that also meant north, because Underground Railroad did not stop for weather or seasons, okay? It was a year-long thing. People wanted to get out. People wanted to go. All right, so this one's interesting because we're going to split it into 4 again. This one and this one we're going to split with a horizontal line, though. And this one and this one we're going to split with a vertical line. Now, here's the kicker. We got to draw a triangle in this one and a triangle in this one. A triangle in this one and a triangle in this one. Okay. We're going to draw a triangle here and a triangle here. And then over here, triangle looking this way this time, and a triangle looking this way. So now we have a bunch of small triangles in our quilt block. And this is called flying geese. In the summer and spring, geese fly north, so go north again. Go north. That's a way of saying go. All right, so I'm going to go backwards, and now we're going to color our quilts. Okay, you can choose whatever color you want, but there are certain ways to color this, okay, so that it looks good. Usually, shapes that are similar to each other, like let's say these triangles, are all going to be, let's say, a color like blue. Remember, there were no automobiles at the time, okay? The best way to get around was by train, okay? There were no actual trains on the Underground Railroad. They just used the terminology to hide the fact that they're transporting people by foot at night to get up north. Okay, so that would be how you color in flying geese, monkey wrench, that's how you'd color that. You know what? I think I actually messed up on North Star. Color North Star how you want. Usually the center of log cabin is a color, and you can choose what other colors the logs are going around it. Crossroads, usually these big diagonal ones. Okay. Bow tie is interesting though. You're going to have two that are diagonal from each other, that are identical, so bow tie this way, bow tie the same way up here. But then for bow tie down, okay, is the other way. Similar to flying geese, but you just line up the triangles in a different kind of way. Okay. All right, I can't wait to see what y'all do. Go ahead and color. You can even add little patterns to make it look like fabric that was used. But yeah, this is some of the myth or legend behind our beautiful. Did I skip it? Oh, I skipped the whole page. And at least romanticize it a little bit about the Underground Railroad. All right, I can't wait to see what y'all do. Bye-bye.